For my final celebration of knowledge case study, I've decided to interview an anonymous friend. Um, and without further ado, I'll start to get into her case. Um, I know her as mostly healthy. She makes good decisions. She's pretty self aware, but like a lot of us, she has a few complaints about lack of motivation, mental fatigue, a few habits that she'd probably like to change and knows what they are, but hasn't quite taken those steps yet. So I built her plan to sort of help meet her where she's at. We know some things that she can already work on going into it together, and a few things I noticed that maybe she's not aware of and how it might be hindering her experience, her health, or her ability to obtain better balance. So she's a 26-year-old female, like I said, complaining of motivation and lack of motivation and a moderate mental fatigue. She mentions that she enjoys working out but doesn't do so consistently. And she simply can't find the motivation during the day. So she's able to work, but typically finds herself sedentary, sitting, putting off work, becoming overwhelmed. Thus begins the vicious cycle. Her current diet is also inconsistent. She doesn't tend to overindulge, but she will eat late at night and snack between meals. Snacks are typically sour, sweet, dry, potato chips, dairy, of those two varieties. Very earthy, very airy. She also enjoys grains. She goes to bed past midnight. Typically, she's pretty social, so she's out with friends Friday, Saturdays, Sunday nights, and she'll wake at around 8 or 9 a.m. An ideal time for her, she mentions, is 7. She tries to, but she hits the snooze button several times. She has trouble sticking to her transcendental meditation routine at the moment, but she does partake, which is quite nice. And she's a strong distaste for hot and humid weather, which is great because we live in Florida. She does prefer dry and hot, though. I think deserts are her favorite place. She's been spending most of her days indoors during the summer because it has been well into the 90s here. She commutes via bike, and she's been trying to wake up earlier and run about 2 to 3 miles per day, which she says she feels better after completing, but she hasn't ran in about 4 days. She's begun preparing meals at home. Since COVID, she mentioned she was eating out a lot, about 5 to 7 times per week during quarantine, and has lost her job as well. She mentions no immediate financial stress, but she is feeling overwhelmed by her choices in the future. She used to spend her time reading tarot and practicing astrology, preparing teas, lighting incense, and playing music on guitar or piano or singing, but has recently moved in with her partner and hasn't taken the time to integrate that grounding energy into the home yet. Overall, she's healthy with areas of tangible improvement, and she does suffer from a chronic secondary lymphatic disorder. So some of the salient features with her Prakriti, patient's healthy overall, 5'2", 140 pounds. She's small, muscular, athletic build with angular cheekbones, strong jaws, and large brown eyes. Her joints are visible at wrists and ankles, medium prominence in fingers and toes. First glance, a lot of pitta qualities. She has clear, even skin, bright and cheery complexion, but she is prone to dryness in less humid climates. Her hair is also prone to dryness. My pulse findings, when I did read her pulse, superficially overall, Kapha was exacerbated about +1. It beat in unison with Pitta and Vata. The pulse was stinging overall, but Pitta and Vata were subtle. Like I said, quality under each finger was sharp, diminished, and sluggish. All the subdoshas of Vata I noticed were mostly undetectable, very weak, warm, and stinging. Again, subdoshas of Pitta, warm, stinging, mostly undetectable, a lot of weak. And then my subdoshas of Kapha, I was reading steady, stinging, warm, hitting heavy Kletica and Schlesica were a bit of unctuousness there. But obviously Kapha was more present than Vata or Pitta. For her deep pulse, Apanavata, Samanavata, Sadaka Pitta, and Alachaka Pitta were strong and steady with increased stinging, and warmth was entering at Pachaka Pitta, Tarpaka Kapha, and Bodhaka Kapha, with diminished pulse and stinging as well. I did detect movement in Vata briefly at the beginning of her pulse read, which I was happy to find. Nice quality there. Overall, I did note that there was a sense of vitality and unison in the pulse. It was pleasant to read. Some of the salient features from the digestion evaluation that I did. I'm so lucky my friend is so honest. I think something to note is it's sometimes answering these questions about ourselves can be difficult. But even in speaking to me afterwards, it was so nice because she starts to write it down, and she kept saying I'm embarrassed, but I just wanted to take a moment. I feel like my friend is so brave for just putting it all out there, because we can't help ourselves or others if there's no honesty or openness there. So I feel honored that she was open with this. And as far as digestion goes, she experiences multiple bowel movements throughout the day. They vary between well-structured and loose and warm and stinging. She does mention gas in her abdominal region, especially when drinking carbonated alcoholic beverages. Everybody loves these seltzers. And she consumes around 15 to 21 alcoholic beverages per week, about 3 to 5 per day. Again, social, out with friends late, and drinking seems to be the activity of choice. Her AMA questionnaire overall, I'll skip details, tends to feel weak for no logical reason, feelings of heaviness in the body, a tendency toward laziness. Those were the more prominent answers that stood out to me. Her overall AMA score, I threw a 26 for her. That's what she scored. So moderate, but not too much presence of AMA at this point in time. I'm not initially concerned with that, but we will work to get that down. State of the bowel movements, like she said, regular 2 to 3 times a day, sometimes loose and warm, but sometimes structured and smooth. There's no lack of unctuousness either way. Sleep is heavy and uninterrupted. Her bedtime's around midnight or later. Again, she mentions lucid and vivid dreaming and wakes up early in the morning to urinate around 4 to 6 a.m. We'll touch on that again with the eating right before bedtime is a habit that she's in. She doesn't mention disturbing dreams, but it seems like she might not be entering REM phase as much as we'd like her to be. Dietary habits that I feel might be contributing to her health problems. Like I said, snacking late at night, often right before going to bed. She consumes alcohol regularly, which we know isn't good for our brain health at all, and definitely not good for Vata conditions, especially carbonated beverages. She enjoys grains, pastas, eggs, avocados, and sweets. Again, very earthy, very heavy foods, even during the summer months. She consumes about 2 to 3 cups of coffee per day, even when she's not tired, and snacks in between her meals. Again, the snacks vary between chips, ice creams, yogurt, so we've got a lot of Vata and Kapha there that we're seeing. She has a steady, healthy period. That's always really nice to hear. Natural birth control, again, really nice to hear. So we know that we're not entering no herbal remedies, no medicines at this point in time. She's pretty natural. Some lifestyle habits that I feel may be contributing to her health problems: poor sleep habits, inconsistent diet choices. She eats even when she's not hungry. She's not really allowing herself to digest all of her food before she consumes more. Lack of regular exercise routine. She seems to have episodes of extreme sedentary behavior followed by extremely physically active behavior. So meaning she'll go a whole day laying in bed, and this is pretty consistent. This inconsistency is pretty consistent of her spending a few days laying in bed and then biking 50 to 80 miles one day and running a lot the next, just to feel like she needs to catch up. There's this constant flux with her. I admire her for it, but it's not good. and lack of time spent with spiritual mind and body connectedness. So I did mention that we needed to work on just getting her more comfortable in the new space that she's in, remembering that her partner loves her for who she is and that she needs to honor that. So my working assessment of her Prakriti is that she exhibits all Pitta Kapha type qualities. She has an athletic build with strong legs, a quick gait, she's cheery, warm cheeks, and she does have a softness to her skin. Not too much, again, just a lucky softness. She dislikes hot and humid weather, and she does enjoy sweets, desserts, pleasant and soft stimuli. I believe that her Vikriti, at the current moment, Kapha and Vata seemed to be a little exacerbated. I'm saying that now, I'm reading it now, but after reading what I've been going over, I actually feel like perhaps Vata and Pitta could come down some, and Kapha does need to be put into check. So even given her pulse reading with just Kapha +1, her entire chart, all of the results, what I know about her and what she's given to me, I'm gonna go ahead and say that we need to clear Amma and bring everything down a few degrees. I did mention that she's experiencing some dry hair and skin. She's been feeling more irritable recently, a lot of cloudiness in her mind, racing thoughts, and a lot of irregularities present themselves in her overall reading and results through her intake forms. She's been spending a lot of times indoors in the air conditioning, and the intake of coffee and alcohol concern me as well. Overall assessment, we went over. So purification protocols. I am recommending a light diet for her after Amapachana. I do want a cleansing routine done for her if she's able to. If not, a liquid diet 3-day to just sort of kickstart a cleansing detox program for her. And then I am recommending a light Pitta diet for her. I'm recommending she stays away from any drying foods, any dry, rough, scraping foods. I think for now is what I'd like to get away from, and I really want to help reignite her Agni because she's mentioned slow digestion, eating in between meals. This was interesting because she's overall healthy, but her mental symptoms seemed to be of sort of a flux between a Kapha Vata, sleeping in, not really getting depressed, but sitting into a lazy, lethargic sort of way, and then also racing thoughts throughout the day. She's very, so I think Vata, I just want to focus on before anything else. I just want to get that down. So staying away from bitter, staying away from astringent, staying away from dry, staying away from ice cream for sure, staying away from carbonated beverages. I think that's where we're going to start with her. That's where we're going to throw her to. In conjunction with that, I am recommending that she follows a light Kapha pacifying diet after Amapachana. I would like for her to favor fresh and warm foods, mung dal, stay away from ghee at the moment. I think sesame oil is the route we should be taking. Bitter vegetables are okay. I think lightly sauteed, again, some sesame oil, asparagus, artichoke, spinach, kale, but definitely nothing raw, no raw salads. I want her to be sauteing everything and make sure everything's warm. Spices I want her to favor, definitely ginger, black pepper, mustard seeds, cumin. A cooling masala spice blend's okay every now and then, I think. Again, tossed in sesame oil, turmeric for sure, especially warm turmeric drinks at night. I think a turmeric milk would be perfect. I like for her to limit dairy, make her own. She makes her own almond milk, so that's cool. I'll throw that to her. Medjool dates in place of any sugar or honey for the time being as well. And then to avoid astringent fruits and fruits that are too sweet, taking the skin off of apples and grapes before she consumes them. Obviously, I'd like for her to follow a vegetarian diet for now, avoiding sugar, fish, eggs, dairy, red meats, etc., and carbonated beverages. She's gonna hate me. Cooking dips after clearing Amma. I think cooking fresh warm meals lightly sauteed in sesame oil. Again, should avoid ghee. Not necessarily recommended. I'm recommending Abhyanga 2 to 3 times per week. she is experiencing some dry skin. I think that this should help counterbalance that, as well as Nasya in conjunction with Yabhyanga. A light breakfast I think would be best for her, something light, energizing to get her acne going. There's a beautiful pineapple smoothie recipe that I really appreciate with some ginger and black pepper in it, a little bit of mint. I think that would be helpful for her. And sleep time, meal times again. So breakfast to start when she's hungry again, following that, which shouldn't be too long if she's consuming this around 8 or 9 a.m., 11 to 2 for her lunch. And then that's really where I would like just something warm, not too hot. It is the hottest time of the day, lightly tossed in oils, etc. I'd like for her to practice mindful cooking. She's mentioned that she's not eating out as much because she went a little crazy during COVID, so that's great. So we're going to take advantage of that. So mindful cooking, mindful eating practices. Make sure she's sitting down, enjoying it, cooking for her boyfriend. And to practice transcendental meditation after sun salutations, and again right before bedtime. I mentioned setting up times for us to practice that together, that I could call or Zoom her, and she was excited about that, so I'm good that we're getting that going. I'd like for her to continue cooking Ayurvedically at home. She did mention throwing a few recipes in together that I've handed her, so that's great. So we'll continue working forward there. And then I'd like for her to spend more time outdoors at sunset or sunrise. She has a beautiful garden and she loves her plants. So just getting out there those 2 times of the day, avoiding the hottest time of the day for her at the moment, but allowing her some time outdoors instead of just inside all day. Again, avoiding eating late at night, adding sugars or sweet, sour taste to food and snacking in between meals, and eating cold or dry foods or things I want her to stay away from. I'd like for her to do light cardio consistently 2 to 3 times per week, not overdoing it one way or the other. Her yoga asanas, again, practicing her sun salutations in the morning. I've been sending her some yoga poses and some yoga asanas she could be trying. Pranayama is something I'd really like for her to focus on. She's wonderful at weightlifting. She's perfectly comfortable doing it. And I think that light aerobics are good. Walking is recommended in conjunction with her running. She's not the strongest runner, so I thought maybe starting her morning with a walk and then easing into a run around the 2nd or 3rd mile would probably be best for her. And then swimming, biking, as she sees fit. She's good at being active. Special recommendations, I'm recommending that she spends time outdoors again with her garden. I'll be giving her some herbs and spices that she can plant, maybe some sunchokes, ashwagandha, etc., that we can get going in there for her. I'm encouraging her to spend time daily with her guitar and music. She's wonderfully talented. She needs to bring that out, and her boyfriend should hear it because she's great. And I'm also going to encourage her to spend time just to start out, the new moon and the full moon with her tarot and horoscopes. Wonderful times to practice. Just get her back into that a little bit rather than allowing it to overwhelm her. Causative factors, again, avoiding irregular times, eating at irregular times, late at night, heavy foods, carbs, nightshades, and then some herbal preparations for her, borrowing this from the consultant handbook again. I don't want to go too heavy with her, but I have a list of a few. Ginger, lemon, and honey tea throughout the day, are definitely recommended. And then avoiding limes was something I said I want to stay away from the cooling effect. So lemon's really where we want to hone in there. Yenema tea is something she could add to that to help with her sweet tooth, especially at night. Probably some rose water. The herbs, if she wants to get into it, I thought that Haritaki would be okay to clear some blockages, but she doesn't seem to have too many blockages. She didn't note it on her AMA quiz. And then Google for scraping. Again, the excess kapha around. I kind of wanted to be careful with that. I really do think I just wanted to be on the beet trim tea or yenema and ginger, lemon, honey throughout the day for now. I don't think we need to jump in too crazy with her. She's got a lot more lifestyle changes she could make, and I think these small tweaks to her diet will make a huge difference as well before we start getting into herbs. Warm oil on her skin, ama clearing, spices to favor, turmeric, ginger, black pepper, mustard seeds, and cumin. Her I knew I wasn't done. As far as multi-modalities go, we already spoke a little bit about horoscopes, Yodish, astrology, aromatherapy, plenty of incense around the home that need to be lit for her, transcendental meditation, which she already knows, and then panchakarma therapy. Perhaps we can get her into that to get her started with. Yeah, I had a wonderful time practicing with somebody who I know, who trusts me, and really holistically tying everything together. It was great. This was a beautiful class to spend with everybody. The resources that we've obtained through this are magnificent, and I look forward to having them at my disposal, these tools in my tool belt, as I continue forward on my path to Ayurvedic wellness. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody have a wonderful summer. Bless.